So when it comes to fast food chains and restaurants, Quebec is kind of different from other places for some reason, and a lot of restaurants that usually taste the same everywhere taste wildly different around here for no reason whatsoever. So today I'm gonna take the time to actually go through all of them. A lot of these are nowhere out there, like they're only in Quebec and nowhere elsewhere, so you probably have no clue what half of these are, but it's fine. I'll let you know, and if you ever somehow come down here, you'll know exactly where to go and where not to go, more specifically. So let's start with this, shall we? Wendy's is very rare out here. The only place you're gonna see a Wendy's probably in Montreal, and it's not good. This is already a bad start, I guess, but for some reason people seem to like a lot Wendy's stuff, but out here it's just not worth it at all. Instead, if you want more like overall traditional bake, if you instead just want more like traditional hamburgers and stuff, I would recommend La Belle Province, which is a more local version of basically every hamburger restaurants put together. They have hot dogs, club sandwiches, Subway, not Subways, but Submarines, hamburgers, of course, poutine. Basically a classic experience that you'd get in a fast food, but they're actually kind of better. A lot better than the Wendy's, that's for sure. Le Petit Québec also kind of does the same thing, but I'd argue it's actually better, maybe. This order just kind of makes it more fun. I prefer their hot dogs for some reason, even though they're essentially the same fucking thing. But from my experience, they're the same, basically. You can go there and eat these. Next up, AW. So for some reason, a lot of American people have told me that A&W actually kind of sucks balls and dick and cock, and I have no clue why, because it is objectively one of the best burger places you can go out there. Their burgers are really good. My go-to usually when I go to these kind of restaurants is to just get 4 standard basic burgers, because A, they're cheap as fuck, and B, the amount of food you get from the price is always worth it. And A&W's basic burgers has caramelized onions, mayo, mustard, and ketchup, which is probably like the only... I think it's generally one of the only few restaurants that has caramelized onions in their burgers. And it's delicious. Like, it's genuinely great. It is delicious. McDonald's, however, is gonna go in S tier. And they just have so many things over A&W, despite how good A&W's burgers are. McDonald's is very versatile. If you want good ice cream, even, you go to McDonald's. Our ice cream machines are never broken, and a good old Oreo McFlurry never misses. That shit is so fucking good. Like, there is just no debate here. This is delicious. And I know that, again, in America, everyone seems to fucking hate McDonald's for some reason, but here it's like genuinely good. Having a McDonald's craving is like a normal thing around here. Everyone likes it. I don't know why it's so different, but it's not eating like solid sewage food. It's actual good burgers. Five Guys, similarly to Wendy's, very American, and we basically don't see it anywhere outside of Montreal, and for good reasons. It also kind of fucking sucks ass. It's also really fucking expensive for no reason whatsoever. And yeah, it's just really not worth your time. Quiznos. I haven't been to Quiznos in years, probably because they are all closed and it's almost hard to find one. And for good reasons. It's nothing crazy. It's just bad Subway, I guess. Speaking of Subway, delicious. Subway in Quebec is literally so much better than in the United States. I have been to Subways in the United States and it sucks. I literally got what I usually get in Quebec and it tasted completely different, despite being the same, supposedly being the same sandwich. I have no clue why, but Subway in Quebec, a banger. I spent way too much money there. It's kind of crazy, like the amount of fast food I sold to get money, and then this money essentially just went towards buying more fast food before myself. It's kind of weird how money works, but that's where a lot of my savings went, basically. Valentine, or more importantly, Valentine, I should call it, is again kind of the same as Le Petit Québec et La Belle Province. It's nothing crazy though. I argue it's probably the worst of the three. They're basically selling the same, it's essentially the same restaurant. They have basically the same menu. They mostly taste the same, but Valentine is, from experience, the worst out of the three. Still just decent at best. Harvey's sucks ass. I have no clues why Harvey's exists. It is completely dog shit, and it's just not worth your time at all. Prix de l'Or is a rare one. It's kind of a more local thing. You won't see it as spread out as it is for other burger places, but they're really good. They have a more local feel basically. They don't feel as like brandy or franchise as a restaurant as others do. They're just kind of their own thing, and they're really good at it. It's a good place. Go check it out. Planet Poutine, for being called the planet of poutine, which is probably like our best or our most well-known Quebec food out there, they really fucking suck. Their poutine are not great. I mean, the ones I've had, I've had it like at least 4 separate times, having 4 separate poutines, which is a lot. It's probably a lot more times than I have had different items in these places, and it still sucks. Every time, it was just disappointing. It is not a good place for poutine, despite it being their entire gimmick. A shame, really, because, you know, you'd expect it to be good, but it's really not. It's just not. Sushi shop, surprisingly good, despite being essentially fast food for sushi. It's sushi. Like, if you're used to you having cheap sushi, you'll like it. It's just kind of whatever. Montacos. Surprisingly, we don't have a lot of Mexican fast food in Quebec, which is weird because people like Mexican food around here. It's not like it's not good. People like it a lot, but it's a lot more of like local Mexican restaurants than it is like a franchise. Montacos is the exception, but even there, their tacos are not actual tacos. It's basically just like meat and a lot of cheese inside of like weird bready thingy. I'll put an image on the screen, but it's not really tacos despite the name, but it's actually really fucking good. Like this is a good restaurant. It's kind of, I don't know how many there are. There aren't that many though. They're kind of rare, but if you get the chance, they're really good. Thai Express, absolutely in S tier. Unmatched. It is a hole in the market. They are basically the only one doing this, and they're excellent at it. You can get fried rice there. That's personally my favorite. Also like the pad siu, which is like big fucking noodles with meat. Everything there is delicious. It's very salty, but it's delicious, and it's not that expensive. So it's a really, really, really good place to go. Next up, we're gonna dabble into the pizza locations, which there is a lot. Like Quebec has a lot of pizza brands, and I'm probably missing 1 or 2. If I'm missing them, I just probably never had it. But from those which I have had, here it goes. Double pizza, probably the best. Out of all the pizza locations, it's the cheaper, and it's also just the best. Like, it just tastes good for how cheap it is. I don't know why. They're really underrated. I don't feel people like know about these guys, but they're really good. Pizza is really fucking bad. The only reason people know about it is because they like, I think they're the sponsor of like the biggest fucking tower in the middle of La Ronde, which is like the biggest like what is it called again? The biggest attraction park in Quebec, which is an awesome place, and you can basically not miss it. You always will see the pizza tower in the middle. But their pizza's bad. Like, genuinely, it's not good. Pizza Hut is even worse. Pizza Hut is fucking so bad. Same with Jacques Cartier. It's kind of saddening that these two are so bad, but they are not good at all. They do not. Maybe Jacques Cartier can get an E, but it's still just not good. Boston Pizza, also really fucking bad. Arguably better. I think they're tied with Pizza. But just another boring pizza place. Domino's is middle of the road. It's alright. But again, I think this is one of the few restaurants that tastes the same as the American counterpart. And so it's just kind of middle of the road. If you want pizza and you have nothing else, sure. Salvatore is a weird one. They basically just kind of appeared out of nowhere. They're very, very, very new. It's probably like the most recent franchise that we have in Quebec, and they just kind of popped out of nowhere. But they're good pizza. It's decent. It's nothing crazy though. Up next we have the shawarma trio, which is some of my favorite food to ever get. Shawarma and shao chicken is just so fucking good. It's a banger. Out of the 3, Amir is probably the worst one. Um, Out of the three, actually, Amir and Basha are basically the most similar, but Basha is so much better. It is easily my favorite place to go to anytime. I will literally eat this anytime. There is nothing better than their shish taok pita chicken. It is so fucking good. It's just a good old pita bread with garlic sauce, lettuce, tomatoes, whatever that purple thingy is. I don't know the English name. In French, I think it's navet. And of course, shish taok chicken. That is quite literally the closest to perfection a restaurant can get. Amir is also fairly similar, but it's not as good. And because they are more popular and bigger than Basha, despite being worse, I will never forget them for it, and I will actually rank them down just because fuck you. Bustan's the more different one. They have a interesting menu. It's like they really wanted to adapt Lebanese food to Quebec culture for no reason. Like their food is good. It's not like we're just not gonna go there because it's Lebanese. It's still good. Oh, it completely disappears. But here, kind of what the logo looks like. This isn't actually what the logo looks like at all. I don't know why this is the image I have. It's alright at most. It goes for something. It doesn't necessarily miss, but it's not great either. It's just something. Next up, we're gonna have all of the more like not really classy, but what I like to call marketed fast food. Essentially, it's more like it's more like the restaurants that you literally go out to for dinner. Yet most of these still do delivery, like it's normal fast food, or takeout, like it's normal fast food. I've worked at one, specifically Science Bar, which I can tell like it's really not much different than what other stuff offer, but it just kind of brands itself as more classy and more quality when it's really not, and it's just a reason to make it more expensive for no reason. Out of the two, Benny and Science Bar are probably the most popular, and they're the most similar. Now, this isn't because I worked at Science Bar, I'm gonna say this, but Benny is the worst of the two. I've had Benny's food before and after I've worked there at Science Bar, and I still have the same opinion. It's really not as good as Science Bar, but even then, Science Bar is not really that great. The only good things you can get there is the barbecue poutine and the club burgers, either crispy or grilled. And even then, they're not really that worth it, except the poutine. The poutine is actually really good, but the rest of the menu is basically so expensive that you're probably better off anywhere else. It is mind-blowingly expensive for what you get. Benny is just worse. They have essentially the same menu except for a few differences, and it's just worse. Their fries is also a weird shape. I don't understand how that works. I feel like it makes a lot of little potato leftovers because of how you have to shape the fries like that, but it's probably just a nitpick. I just think Benny's kind of stupid. Essentially Bear is also not great, but it's better than Benny's. Scores is also kind of just it's bad. It's not great. It's whatever, I guess. Vieux du Lait is kind of a meme restaurant. I don't know anyone that genuinely goes there to eat, and then recently made the news because one of the owners of a Vieux du Lait location would basically answer to Google critics. Like, you know, when you can just like put a comment on a restaurant on Google or other platforms like that, and he would just basically like answer them, not in a nice way, and most of the time it's justified because people are just being fucking arrogant pieces of shit, but it's still just really funny and then made a controversy. The restaurant isn't that great though. The food is just not great. Mike's, very similar to Scores, a little better. Again, nothing much to say. Eastside Mario's is surprisingly the best out of this category, despite being, again, basically the same thing. From my experience though, it's pretty good. It's alright. And then you have La Cage au Sport, which is just bad. Like really, they just market their whole thing about like being this pubby, more like sports watching experience with TVs everywhere, so we can watch hockey. If you're a Canadiens fan, that's essentially where you go. They always do fucking offers and shit when there's a Canadiens game, especially when it's like the seed, like not just the preseason, but like the actual league. It's not good food though. So yeah. Next, we're gonna go over the breakfast restaurant, which also has a lot more of smaller brands, kind of like pizza. These are the ones I went to, and I feel these are also the biggest one across the province. There are some other ones I have just not gone to yet, so there's probably a few missing, maybe like two or three. There's essentially like a lot of restaurants which have like a fucking bad joke with the word egg on their name. Like there's Egg Ski, which is not here because I've never been there. Um, it's it's a whole thing. It's not great anyway. But here we go. Allo Mokoko. Probably one of the better ones in this list. It's good. I don't really know what to say. I think one of the more special thing about this place is the way you get your potatoes. You either get them diced like just normal potatoes like you'd expect in a breakfast restaurant, or they just make this kind of hash brown thing with it, and it tastes good. It's essentially not really a big difference. It's just kind of cook it as a hash brown kind of, but it's not really a hash brown. Like it's still like it's not crispy. It's a weird thing. It's hard to explain, but it's still pretty good. Yeah. Benny Florentin is also probably in meter. These two are probably some of the best. Very similar though. You can basically accept the same. You can accept. You can expect the same menu there. You know, just like your basic like pancakes and waffles and eggs, bacon, sausages, and potatoes, and it's basically all the same restaurant. Cora kind of fucking blows. It's just worse. Maybe not. I'm kind of doing bad faith here. I think it's decent. It's alright. It's good. Bettenose is probably the better one out of all of these. Maybe it's just because I would order this one with my ex, and it's just nostalgia value. But even then, I think it's a better one. Normandie fucking sucks. Never go to Normandie. Normandie is like literally like I don't even know what they do to make it bad. It's also in the US, I think, but it's just I don't know. It's just not good, man. Don't go there. Next up, let's look at the more essentially like just whatever dessert they're selling as fast food kind of. Ice cream wise, we have La Zepri, Chocolat Favori, which are both the same. You essentially just get a normal ice cream cone, but then you dip it in chocolate, and it like covers. And their whole gimmick is that they have like completely like different flavors of chocolate you can dip your shit into, and I mean like widely different. Like their menu is surprising, especially the Chocolat Favori. La Dépris is basically the worst version. It's still decent. Chocolat Favori is good though. I'm gonna put it in B though. It's a slightly overrated. It's good. The chocolate outside of the ice cream part is really good, but it's very heavy. Like you get like a medium, and like it feels like you eat too much sugar, man. It's fine. DQ, however, oh my, DQ is the best ice cream place ever. I don't care. There is no match. Even local ice cream shops aren't a match for it, which usually isn't the case. Like local ice cream shops will beat any they would beat Chocolat Favori and La Dépris. But DQ is just so good. In Quebec, they don't sell food other than ice cream. I don't know why. In the US, apparently they also just do hot dogs and stuff like that. But here, it's just the ice cream part. And oh no, they actually also do ice cream cakes. But still, you go there for the ice cream. It is like the blizzards there are just like crazy. They're just delicious. There is nothing better. There is no better place. McDonald's and their McFlurry is also pretty good, but still, I would go to DQ anytime over. Queue de Castor, a classic. That is like one of the only, other than poutine, like this is one of the only food that I think we actually came up with, and it's pretty good. I've had like essentially almost every type of Queue de Castor, and they're all great. Like it's very good. It's very greasy. It's a lot. It's a lot for dessert. You don't want to go there often because you will get diabetes, but it's really good. Okay, every single person watching this that's actually in Quebec is gonna get mad at me for this, but Mr. Puffs is the most fucking overrated shit ever. Essentially what it is like balls of donuts, but bad. Though you might, hearing this, you might think, well, isn't fucking, what Mr. Puffs is, basically, is balls of donuts. Now you might be hearing this and think, well, Tim Hortons is really, really, really well known for their Timbits, which is exactly that, just balls of donuts. Except Mr. Puffs is like bad. I mean, they have some good ones, but the majority is just not good. And their donuts are so greasy. It is absurd. The like they're not greasy, oily. This is the word, oily. They are very, 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 very oily, which is not good. And like I don't get it. The whole gimmick is that like they look cool and they're funky, but they're not great. They're not great. Just get Timbits. Let's talk about Tim Hortons. Talking about Timbits, it's the fucking best. Tim Hortons is like no match. The most versatile fast food out there. You can get anything. You can get coffee. You can get just normal food, sandwiches. The sandwiches there are insane. They are so good. Everything about Tim Hortons is delicious. They don't have a single bad item. I've had so much of Tim Hortons. I've had almost everything on the menu, and very, 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 very rarely is there something I do not like. They've even made like salads, and I like them. I like the fucking salads. There's a quinoa salad, and I like it. I hate quinoa, but that shit was delicious. They are like wizards of food. They will literally like make anything good, and it's not that expensive. For what you get, it is not that expensive compared to a lot of other places. Tim Hortons is just a golden standard of fast food, and I just wish restaurants would be as good as it is. Starbucks, F tier. I'm not. I think this is gonna surprise some. I know that Starbucks is like the most popular shit with white girls for some reason. Fun fact: I went to a birthday of my ex's friend. I was the only guy there. It was like 12-ish, maybe 11 girls and me. When I arrived, everyone had ordered Starbucks on Uber Eats, and I was like, all right, sure, you know, you get your Starbucks. You know, it's still like early in the night. You don't drink yet. You just drink Starbucks instead. No alcohol yet. And I didn't think much of it until we wake up the next morning, and they order Starbucks again. Why? Also, fun fact, it's expensive as shit. It is absurdly overpriced, and it's not good. I've been there. It's not good. I don't see the appeal. It is bad. I don't get it. It's a weird thing to be so addicted over. Anyways, if you want coffee, go to either Tim Hortons or Second Cup. Second Cup is kind of, oh wow, it's completely invisible. I'm gonna put it in C, but you're not gonna see it. Oh, like this. It's in C. It's good. It's not crazy. It's just kind of coffee. I would go to Tim Hortons anytime. I feel like they have better options, but it's not bad. And then that's basically it. The only thing I'm gonna add to this list, which is kind of a meme, is Chipotle. In case you don't know, Quebec does not have Chipotle. I don't know why. I don't know what we did to the fast food overlords, but we do not have Chipotle in Quebec, and it's a damn shame because it would be an easy yes. Me and my friend went on a road trip last April, and we went to Chipotle for the first time, and it was legitimately like we were discovering food all over again. It is so incredibly good, and it is actually like insane that we do not have. Actually, I'm gonna add a row above, and just like bring us fucking Chipotle, because that stuff is so fucking good. I don't understand why we don't have it. It would completely rule the market. People like Mexican food in Quebec, and there is nothing except Mon Tacos, which isn't made of Mexican food, and this is just so good. These are delicious. These are amazing. Me and my friends are literally already planning to just go down to the border, just cross the border to go to Chipotle and come back. I feel like we're gonna get searched by the border patrol, but we just want Chipotle that bad. But we have to drive like almost 2 hours for it, and it's a shame. It's so fucking good. Please, please, let's have Chipotle up here. You know, and yeah, that basically kind of does it. And so that kind of does it. This is basically the Quebec fast food slash restaurants brands that we have. Um, yeah, it's kind of funny that most actual restaurants aren't in A and S. It's mostly just the fast food ones, but it's really kind of the best we have. I feel like if you really want to go to a restaurant, don't go to a brand one. Just go to the like your local restaurant. They will like 100% be more worth it than anything that's branded. Um, that being said, though, takeout, um, take anything here and you will have a great time. These are all bangers. So that's about it. I hope you guys disagree with my opinions because it just really makes me happy to see that I'm the only one person on Earth that is actually correct about every single one of their takes. I will look forward to absolutely ignoring every single one of you guys' opinions because I'm right and you're wrong. So hope you enjoyed this. So that's about it. See you around.